Good afternoon, students. Let us start the class. We were discussing random errors and burst errors. Random errors are the errors which can occur in a stream anywhere 1 bit or 2 bits or 3 bits, but it is not continuous. In the sense, a stream of bits as such are not going to be lost. Out of 8 bits, let us say, which are transmitted, somewhere here and there 1 or 2 or 3 bits can be at error. Such errors are called random errors, whereas burst errors are the errors where at a stretch a few bits may be completely lost. That may happen due to impulse noises, like a sudden noise which is occurring in the atmosphere and the noise is persisting for a certain time duration, let us say. In that case, the noise will be affecting all those bits in sequence at a stretch. So they are called burst errors. But in our course, as I had mentioned in the previous class also, in our particular course, we will not deal with the burst errors, we will deal with only the random errors. But I had briefly discussed about the method of overcoming burst errors by means of storing them in a RAM and then applying column interleaving or row interleaving algorithms. You are going to study about them in the future courses in more detail. Let me focus more on our subject of discussion, that is random errors. We deal with random errors. So let us proceed now. Now let us briefly discuss the types of codes. Error control codes are mainly divided into two categories, namely block codes and convolutional codes. I have been telling you that we add additional bits as error detecting and correcting bits. From now on, we will be calling those bits as parity bits, which means along with the information bits, we will be adding additional bits for error control, and they will be called as parity bits. Now, if the parity bits are separate and the information bits are separate, then such coding is called block coding. And if the parity bits and the information bits are mixed together, then that is called as convolutional coding. In this module, we are going to deal with block codes. In the next module, that is the last module, 5th module, we are going to deal with convolutional codes. Both have their own advantages, both have their own limitations. So let us see how we are going to have block coding. So in the block codes, the information bits are succeeded or preceded by the check bits. We call these bits as check bits or parity bits, which are utilized for error control. Now these check bits can be either before the information bits or after the information bits, and then the complete block can be transmitted. Now the receiver uses these check bits to verify the information bits in the block, which means the receiver knows the location of the check bits also. By using the check bits, it will verify the information bits. But in the convolutional codes, the check bits are continuously interleaved with the information bits. Means, along with the information bits, anywhere in between, the convolutional codes can be mixed up, and they may not be in sequence also. There can be distinct positions by means of which the check bits can be referred. So the receiver uses these check bits to verify the information bits in the particular block as well as in the other received blocks. That means the receiver also knows which position is containing the check bits. Based on that, the receiver will apply that particular algorithm to detect the errors and to correct the errors. So in this particular chapter, let us deal with the block codes. So in the block codes, you can see in this picture, we are going to deal with the linear block codes. Let me tell you later on what is the meaning of linear block codes here. First, understand that block code contains totally n bits, out of which k bits are information bits and n minus k bits are check bits or parity bits. Now the n bit block is called as a code word, which contains k message bits and n minus k check bits. Please remember these terminologies. Let me underline them. we call it as a code word. The code word is n-bit block, and it contains k message bits and n minus k check bits. We keep on using these terminologies from now on. Code word means you should understand that it contains information as well as check bits together. Information bits can also be called as message bits. Check bits can also be called as parity bits. You should remember this. Now, if the message bits appear at the beginning or at the end of the code word, then such codes are called as systematic codes. See, even in block codes, the check bits can be remaining together, but the check bits which are remaining together can be kept anywhere in the middle also. But we are dealing with the systematic codes in which the check bits will be either in the beginning or at the end. Then such codes are called systematic codes. Now please understand, there is a systematic block code, there is an unsystematic block code, then there is a convolutional code. Please understand, in the block code, all the check bits are together. They can be at the beginning, they can be at the end, they can be at the middle somewhere, but all the check bits are together. But in the convolutional code, the check bits need not be together. Even the check bits are scattered, separated. They are given distinct positions in the code word. That is why convolution code can be a little bit more complicated when compared to block codes. But as I told you, both have their own advantage, both have their own disadvantage. We are going to see that later on anyhow. So we will be dealing with systematic codes only, so that let the approach be systematic, because here the purpose is for learning. So let us not make it more complicated. So we are dealing with only systematic codes. So such codes are called systematic codes. Furthermore, in the n, k block code, if each of the 2 power k code words can be expressed as the linear combinations of the k code vectors, then such code is called as a linear block code. See, what is the meaning of a linear block code? Linear block code means we will have k message bits, and naturally when we have k message bits, we can have 2 power k code words. Those 2 power k code words can be expressed as the combination of these k code vectors. Now these k code vectors are contained in a n, k block code stream. Let me explain further. Whenever we have this, let me take an example of k equals only 2. When k is only 2, we have 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1. Only those 4. Let me write it here. So we will have 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, and 1, 1. So I am taking k as 2. Let us say we are going to add a check bit now. Now the check bit can be here. I can add a check bit here, additional 1 bit here, 1 more bit here, 1 more bit here, and 1 more bit here. I can add either 0 or 1 here as a check bit. Now let us say I go for a odd parity, then I may add 1 here and 0 here and 0 here and 1 here. See, I am adding 0, 0 and 1, 0, 1 and 0, 1, 0 and 0, 1, 1 and 1. Don't worry about the x which I have put here. That x is only the position of the check bit. And here I am actually indicating the value of the check bit. That is maybe 1, 0, 0, 1. So this indicates odd parity. Now, is there any relationship between the 0, 0 and this 1? No. Is there a relation between 0, 1 and 0? No. We are going for an algorithm of odd parity, where in the total code word we should have odd number of ones. Here 1, here 1, here 1, here odd number of ones. Totally 3 are there, odd number of ones. But the check bit and the information bit, do they have any relationship? No. Now this is a very simple code in which we simply decided about parity. Now what about a bigger code word? If there's a bigger code word, we cannot simply go for that odd parity and even parity combination there, because we will be using more number of check bits. In the example which I showed, it is only one check bit which is used. So we went for a parity check, odd parity check. Now if at all I have a 8-bit message, and then I will have to add additional check bits. It is not that I am going to add only one check bit or one parity bit. I will have to add multiple parity bits now, multiple check bits now. Now the question is, how do I decide these check bits is the question. How do I decide the parity bits which are multiple now? So I cannot simply go for odd parity, even parity mechanism which I had shown till now. That means the final code word which we are going to transmit, it has to be a linear combination of the message bits. We should define a relationship between the final code word and the information code word. That means we cannot arbitrarily choose any amount of check bits. In such case, that is called as linear block code. Means the n-bit code word is a linear combination of the k code vectors. There can be a non-linear block code also, where they need not be related that way. But the non-linear block code is going to make our life more miserable. Why? How do we define the parity bits which are more than 1? We should have some other algorithm there. And then even the transmitter as well as the receiver should have some other complex algorithm to detect the error and correct the error. So as our purpose here is to only learn this methodology in the beginning, we are going to focus again on linear block code. Means we will be defining our codes in future in such a way that the final n-bit code word is a linear combination of a particular k code vector, and the parity bits or check bits are defined in that way only. We will be seeing examples later on. So I just thought let me elaborate all these things, but finally we are going to deal with systematic codes only, and we are going to deal with linear codes only. That is what is called as a linear block coding, which is also a linear systematic block code now, from now on. Now, steps of a linear block encoding scheme. First step is, the message sequence is segmented into blocks, each block consisting of k information bits or message bits. Each message block is transformed into a larger block of n bits by generating n minus k check bits as linear combinations of k message bits. Obviously, we will have totally n bits, and they will contain k bits and n minus k check bits, k message bits and n minus k check bits. Now these check bits are produced as linear combinations of the k message bits. Later on we will see how in the example. These are the basic 2 steps for linear encoding. Now let us represent the message block as a row vector of data bits of or k tuple. Generally we call it as tuple. Just like we have nibble for 4 bits, we can in general say it as a tuple. Now this tuple can contain a data bit which is d1, d2 up to dk. And let the code word be represented as c1, c2, ck, and then ck plus 1, ck plus 2, like that it is up to cn. Now please understand, we are dealing with linear block code. So this d1, d2, dk and c1, c2 up to ck are same now, and only these are different now. Let us say this d1, d2 up to dk is 0, 0, 1. Here also it will be 0, 0, 1 only. Then we will have additional check bits or parity bits. Please understand this. You will have to remember that this data word is also present in the n-bit transmitted code word. And along with that, it is succeeded with the check bit. Now it can be preceding also, it can be succeeding also. let us go for a succeeding message bit only, succeeding check bit only. To make our life simple or for making our learning simple, let us go for a mechanism of a linear block code, a systematic block code in which the check bits are always at the end of the code word. So please remember these basics, because in this chapter we are going to deal with a lot of matrix operations based on these fundas. Now this code vector contains n minus k check bits at the end. Let us define it that way. Now, hence the rate efficiency of this n comma k block code is k by n. It is called as rate efficiency because totally n bits, out of which k are the data bits. So it is called as rate efficiency k by n. Now these n minus k check bits are generated according to a predetermined rule, because we want to have a linear combination of the code word in terms of the message bits. So we should define that linear combination. So let us define that linear combination like this. You can see this. Ck plus 1 till Cn are now the check bits. Please remember that I have showed you here again. See, Ck plus 1 till Cn are the check bits or the parity bits. We will have to generate them one by one now. We have to generate Ck plus 1, k plus 2, k plus 3 till there in the same way till Cn, because C1 till Ck are same as D1 till Dk. Now how to generate Ck plus 1? Let us follow an algorithm like this. Ck plus 1 is equal to P11 into D1 XOR P21 into D2 XOR, like that it goes on, XOR Pk1 into Dk, where this D1, D2 up to Dk are the data bits. Where is this P11, P21, Pk1? Don't mistake, these are not probabilities. Now, till the last module, we have been representing the probability as small p. Now here you have to remember, this particular P11 is not the probability. It is the element of a matrix called parity check matrix, because we are going to name these check bits as parity bits also. So this P11 is a position in the parity check matrix. Please understand this. P11, P21 up to Pk1 are the positions in a parity check matrix. Those are the rows and columns of the parity check matrix. That means P11 means first row and first column of this parity matrix. Later on we are going to define those matrices. And this XOR symbol is also called as modulo 2 addition. So we can have a simple algorithm like this, where each check bit, we will define it as a linear combination now, right? It is now a linear combination, where P11, P21, Pk1 are also 1 and 0 only. They are also ones and zeros only, which are defined in the parity matrix. So we can have the modulo 2 addition of or XOR of all these bits so as to get a single bit Ck plus 1. Similarly, we can have Ck plus 2 equals P12 into D1, first row, second column, into D1 XOR of P22, second row, second column, into the data bit. And the XOR again, we can proceed that way. At the end, we have Pk2 into Dk. So finally, Ck plus 1, k plus 2 till Cn is P1 comma n minus k. I have purposely put comma here. Otherwise, it may indicate as if P1, and if I subsequently again write n minus k, it may become P1n minus k. That's why I have put a comma here. Otherwise, there is no comma here and here. Actually, it indicates rows and columns only, nothing else. So you don't have to feel scared that this equation is complicated. Actually, this equation is really very simple. It is simply multiplication of a data bit with the particular parity bit and XORing. That's all, to obtain a single bit of the code word in the check bits. So that way, this will go on. Now the coefficients Pij are zeros and ones only, as I've been mentioning. Don't confuse them with the probabilities. These are not the probabilities. These are zeros and ones only, which are predetermined. Which are predetermined means we are going to have such matrix, and the addition operation is performed using a modulo 2 arithmetic. Now you can see that the code word will be a linear combination of the data bits only. So therefore, now the matrix form for the code vectors, it can be written this way. See, now this is a code word. Code word is one row and n columns. You can see this C1, C2 up to Cn. This is, let me write it as 1 cross n. Now this is 1 cross n. Means one row, n columns. Each again contains 1 cross k. This is the data bit now. See, D1, D2 up to dk. It is here C1, C2 up to ck. Somewhere here you have to visualize ck. So D1, D2 up to dk is contained here already. Later on we will have ck plus 1, k plus 2 up to cn. So you can see here, we can define another matrix here, where you can see an identity matrix here. You can see an identity matrix here, right? 1, 0, 0 up to last 0, 0, 1, 0, full zeros. Finally it goes on, all zeros in the beginning, last one is 1. Now we can define one more matrix here. Now this is our parity matrix. P11, P12 up to P1, n minus k. This is the last column. So here we can have a particular combination of zeros and ones. But here we have an identity matrix. Why we have an identity matrix? The reason is we should obtain 1 cross n by multiplying 1 cross k into, look at this. Look at this. Here also we have k cross k identity matrix. You can see here. This has to be having k entries, and each entry should have initially 1 and later on 0. Next second position is 1, all others are 0. That way the last one is having the last position as 1, all others are 0. This has to be an identity matrix along with the parity bits here. So by multiplying this 1 cross k into k cross n, we get 1 cross n. This is totally k cross n, right? You can see here, totally k here, totally n minus k here, totally n columns, but k rows. So this is going to be k cross n together. Totally this matrix is going to be k cross n, this complete matrix. This complete matrix is going to be k cross n, but I am distinctly showing you the identity matrix and the parity matrix separately. Later we will see identity matrix and parity matrix. Right now don't worry. Right now only understand that 1 cross n is obtained by 1 cross k into k cross n. Okay, let me proceed now. In this way, we can represent it in this manner. See, we can represent it as C equals D into G, where G is Ik with P. Now don't mistake this pipe symbol as a division symbol. It is not a division symbol. It is only a separator here. Let me annotate it so that you will not get confused. Now this particular pipe symbol or a vertical line is not division. It is simply a separator between identity matrix and parity matrix. So C is the code vector, D is the data vector, G is called as the generator matrix of order k cross n. That's what I mentioned. Whatever I showed you at the right hand side in the previous diagram, the order of that is k cross n. So code is obtained by multiplying data with generator matrix. Now this generator matrix is the order of k cross n, and the generator matrix in turn contains identity matrix of order k cross k and parity matrix of order k cross n minus k. Now this is identity matrix because for one C1 if you have to obtain, you will have to use D1 only, right? C2 if you have to obtain, you should use D2 only, right? So naturally there should be identity matrix there. That is the idea there. But the parity matrix can contain any number of zeros and ones as we define them. We have the freedom there to define the parity matrix. But the identity matrix has to be that way only. Why? Because ultimately we want to get 1 cross n by multiplying 1 cross k into k cross n. How do we make this generated matrix as k cross n? We should have k cross k identity matrix, k cross n minus k as parity matrix. But they are merged together in such a way that it is like a single matrix only. Please remember, this G is a single matrix only. It is not comprising of two matrices. We are only merging them that way or combining them that way. That is why this vertical line is given. It is only a separator to identify that left side is identity matrix, right side is parity matrix. So when the parity matrix is specified, the n comma k block code is fully defined. Now our job is only to define the parity matrix and its elements in terms of zeros and ones. That is the idea. So let us see an example now. For a systematic 6,3 linear block code, the parity matrix is given. See, the P matrix is given. You can see this 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 1. That way it is defined. Right now you don't worry how did we define it. As of now, just think that we have randomly defined 9 elements in this matrix as 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 1. Now we have to find all the possible code vectors for the given linear block code 6, 3, which means here given is k equals 3, n equals 6, which means what? We have 3 message bits, we have additional 3 check bits. Those additional 3 check bits have to be obtained by using this parity matrix. So let us see, it's a simple matrix calculation now, matrix multiplication now. Now the generator matrix is written like this. You can see G. You already know that C equals D into G, right? 1 cross n equals 1 cross k into k cross n. Now we should have k cross n. G is k cross n. So G is 3 cross 6, right? G is 3 cross 6, but P is 3 cross 3. So you should have an identity matrix of 3 cross 3. Please revise all the fundas of matrix algebra because we are going to extensively use matrix algebra only in this particular module. So G has to be 3 cross 6 now because k is 3, n is 6. We want to have, let me write it again. We want to have a C code vector of 1 is to 6, code vector matrix of 1 is to 6. So naturally k is 1 cross 3. It is not 1 is to 6, it is 1 cross 6 and 1 cross 3. Now this is 1 cross 6, this is 1 cross 3, and naturally I should have 3 cross 6, correct. I should have 3 cross 6. Now, this is that G. You can see it is 3 cross 6. But P given was 3 cross 3. So, naturally, I has to be 3 cross 3. That is why here it is written as I3. Identity matrix of 3 cross 3 and then parity matrix. So, it is defined now G is I3 along with P. See, I have written a vertical line here. It is simply a separator. G equals I3 and P. Now we have 2 power 3, 8 messages. From 0, 0, 0 till 1, 1, 1, we have 8 messages. Now the code vector for 0, 0, 0 can be defined this way. CA, let me call it as CA because it is the first code vector. CA has to be 000 is DA, the very first message bit, into G. G is given here 100, 011, 010, 101, 001, 111. Now obviously CA is all 6 zeros because the message bits are all zeros. Similarly CB. Now CB is 001. 001 multiplied with the same generator matrix, where you have identity matrix and you have a parity matrix. Multiply them. Obviously 0 into 1 0, 0 into 0 0, 1 into 0 0, first bit is 0. Next 0 into 0 plus, it is not plus, XOR. Okay, it is XOR. 0 into 0, XOR 0 into 1, XOR 1 into 0. Again the second bit is 0. Second bit in the code word is 0. Now the third one, 0, 0, 1. So you have 1. Anyhow here the data bit is 001. So actually you will get this 001111, which is the last row, because here only the last bit is 1. Accordingly, wherever is the 1 existing in the last row in the generator matrix, you will get the same code word. But we can proceed this way for 010, 011, 100, 101, 110, 111. Everywhere we have to do XORing of the products. That is where I had written P11 into D1, P12 into, like that I had written there. There we had used the symbolic notation. Here it is directly, see this is this D1, P11, D2, P21, D3, P31. XORing of all the three. That way it goes on. So proceeding in the same way, the other code vectors are all obtained. From AB, C, D, E, F, G, H, they are all obtained. 010101, 01111010. That way, the last one is 111001. So finally, 8 code words which have to be transmitted from the channel encoder are obtained now. We are going to transmit these 6 bits from the channel encoder. Now each of these 6 bits is connected to a particular data bit sequence or a particular message. That is why it's a linear combination now. All these code words which are output are a linear combination of the particular message bit sequence itself, right? See here it is 000, here it is 001. Similarly for 010, 011, 100, 101, 110, 111, we have 8 code words which are going to be transmitted out of the channel encoder. Now it can be seen that all the code words are systematic in the form of 3 message bits, 3 check bits. Just observe them. Just observe them. I will write a line here. Now you can see we had first we had obtained for 000001. Now we have 010, 011, 100, 101, 110, 111, and only the other bits are changing. Now this is a systematic block code. In the systematic block code, first 3 are data bits and the next 3 are parity bits. How we obtain these data bits again here? That is why we use the identity matrix. Now without the identity matrix there, we could not get this data bit at all, right? That is why we use the identity matrix there. That is the idea there. So now this is a systematic coding. It can be seen that all the code words are systematic in the form of 3 message bits and 3 check bits. And the check bits you obtained by means of this particular definition of parity. We have already defined this definition of parity matrix. Okay. Now, there are 2 notes here. First note is modulo 2 arithmetic is nothing but XOR operation symbolized like this. It is nothing but XOR operation. It can be verified that the modulo 2 addition of any 2 code words results in another code word present in the code set. Hence, the block code is linear. What does it mean? You can again perform this modulo to addition of any other code words, it results in another code word in the code set. Let us verify that. Now let us perform XOR operation for these two. Okay, and let us see what happens. 1 XOR 1 is 0, 0, and here it is 1, here it is 1, here it is 1, here it is 1. 1 XOR 1 is 0, 1 XOR 1 is 0, 0 XOR 1 is 1, 1 XOR 0 is 1, 1 XOR 0 is 1, 0 XOR 1 is 1, 0 0 1 1 1 1. Is it present anywhere? It is present here, see? It is 0 0 1 1 1 1. So by XORing CG and CH, we got CB. Let us try one more. Let us XOR these two. Let us XOR CE and CF. 1 1 is 0, 0 0 is 0, 0 1 is 1, 0 1 is 1, 1 0 is 1, 1 0 is 1. We got the same CB once again. Naturally, we should get any of the other code vectors because all the 8 code vectors which we obtain are actually linear combinations of the parity matrix itself. Anyway, in these two we got the same. Let us try once more. Which one shall we try? Let me try the first two. 0 0 0 1 1 0 0 1 1 1 0 1 0 1 1 1 0 1. Again we are getting the same CB. Anyway, let us try one more last attempt. C and G. Okay, Kuldeep is telling me let us try C and G. Okay, let us try C and G. This C and this G. So 0 1 1 1 1 0 0 0 0 1 1 0 0 1 1 1 0 1. So 1 0 0 0 1 1, it is present here. So XOR of CC and CG, we are getting CE. This has to be obvious because we have this data bit and we have code word. We actually have to get the linear combination as such, one or the other code word which is present in the final code set. That is the meaning there. So the meaning here is, it can be verified that the modulo to addition of any two code words results in another code word present in the code set. Hence the block code is linear. Now, if at all we want to have a non-linear block code, what are we supposed to do? Can anybody suggest me? We are limiting our discussion only for the linear block code by means of this particular method of C equals D into G. That's all, where D is nothing but IK into P. Please remember this always. In the next class, we will have exercises on this. Okay. But my question here is, just out of curiosity, if at all we want to make it non-linear, then what are we supposed to do? Can anybody answer? No answer? Answer is simple. If you don't want it to be linear, don't use the identity matrix. That's all. Let there be that parity matrix. Don't use the identity matrix. Make a complicated matrix there also. It is not actually a matrix. It is only a set of rows and columns there. Don't use the identity at all there. Instead of identity, make it also complicated or fill it with some other bits. Just like these parity bits, there is no particular sequence here. Don't think that we should have a parity matrix like this only always. You can have the freedom of changing your parity matrix. Only thing is, the transmitter and the receiver both should have the same parity matrix. That is obvious. Otherwise, this is not really a well-defined matrix as such. You can change this also to any other number of bits. You will get different sets of code words there. You will still get a linear block code only. The question is, how do I make it non-linear? To make it non-linear, what I have to do is, just like this parity matrix was defined randomly, even that identity matrix has to be defined randomly. I need not have an identity matrix here like 100010001. You should have some other bit patterns here. Now when you have some other bit patterns here, whenever we have such XOR operations, what happens then? Whenever you have such XOR operations, what happens there is, you will have different sets of bits there and you will have strange combinations there. Naturally, it will become a non-linear combination. But the problem there is, when it becomes a non-linear combination, it may not remain systematic also. Systematic means what? We want the data bit separately, we want a parity bit separately. That also may not happen. Non-linear operations may result in unsystematic block codes. They also are block codes only. Okay, they also may remain block codes only, but it may become completely unsystematic. They are not convolutional codes. In convolutional codes, we have positions defined for parity bits or check bits. Here, the block code will not become a convolutional code. Block code will become unsystematic and non-linear. And then we make our life miserable there. Okay, still it works. It still works. But only thing is, we make our life miserable if we have to do the computations. Fortunately, we are not doing such computations. Both the transmitter and receiver are machines programmed with software, and there are processors and there are controllers. They are anyhow machines. Both communicating ends are having basically computation machines or data crunching machines. So there, if we introduce non-linearity, it is better. Why? Because there will be better error detection, better error correction in spite of the complexity. But as our purpose here is to learn error detection and correction by means of block coding, let us limit ourselves to systematic block coding, linear block coding. With this, I am coming to the end of today's class. In the next class, let me discuss about the hardware implementations plan. Exactly not the hardware here. It is only the plan or the pictorial representation of the encoder or the decoder. And then let us proceed with the examples. Okay. So today I am ending my class. See you in the next class tomorrow. Take care and goodbye.